Hey everybody, this is Sheets, and we're going to be doing a lineup construction video for tomorrow's UFC card. And I'm going to let you know in advance that this does rate to be a train wreck. And the reason why is usually when I don't have everything completely laid out and prepared, it does work out to be a train wreck, as most things do in life. But I have so many different thoughts that I wanted to convey for this card and for this video that we're just going to just fly. And if it turns out to be the worst piece of garbage ever, then I apologize. It can't be the worst piece of garbage. There's going to be a lot of good stuff to go over. It might end up being completely disorganized, but that's okay. So what I want to talk about today is actually something that I don't talk about too often, and that are the plays. The idea being that you can do whatever you want with respect to you know lineup construction tools, running sims, setting different guidelines and things like that. But unless you're putting good numbers into these tools, it's all going to be for nothing, right? I mean, you do have to start at least with reasonable median point projections, because even though we're looking for ceiling, and even though we are going to use Saberson for most of these builds, you have to start with a reasonable median projection, okay? And some of the problems are that it's not difficult to make a median projection, okay? When you're factoring in uh, inside the distance lines, takedown upside is not that easy. And yet, if you subscribe to a lot of sites, you're going to get all kinds of different point projections, and there are reasons for that. One of them is that some sites use a completely different scale. And when I say that, one site, not one site, but some sites, they just presume that the fighter is going to win when they make their projection. So it's not even median projection; it's projection in win. Some sites, they say that they're operating on a median projection, but you can tell they're all just so much higher than some other sites. Um, on a relative basis, they're somewhat similar, but they're operating under different scales. Um, so when it comes to projections, while it should be kind of easy, it's somehow a lot of the sites kind of mess it up. So when I use SaberSim and I use Roto Grinders and I use other sites to kind of think about what these projections should look like, and then I factor in my own projections, what I think they should look like, it's somewhat challenging. And you do have to make sure that you at least start with good projections. So whether you use SaberSims or mine or ETRs or Roto Grinders or Ship It Nation, I'm going to name all, whatever. You're probably okay, but it can be challenging. Let's put it that way. The other thing to remember is that UFC is very unique as a DFS sport because you have incredibly violent negative correlation between plays. But you have these fighters that are going after each other, and except for very, very, very rare exceptions, one guy's going to win and one guy's one guy's going to win, one guy's going to lose, and one guy is going to be fantasy relevant, the other guy's not, and that's it. Um, that's a very important thing about UFC and tennis, DFS, whatever. But in the world of portfolio management, it's extremely powerful. I don't want to get it too into it, but even in this in stock market theory, I mean, if you can find stocks that have negative correlation, you can be a superstar. Okay, and when you play UFC and you look at it from a portfolio management perspective, it's a lot different than looking at it from a lineup by lineup perspective. Like, I'll take this at the extreme. If you have two 8K guys and they're going to come in the middle and they're going to swing and bang, and someone's losing in the first 15 seconds. Okay. what's going to end up happening is that the median projection of both of those guys is not going to be that big, okay? Because you're going to get, or especially the mean projection is not going to be that big because sometimes they're going to get like zeros and stuff like that, you know? Um, but whoever wins that fight is going to be on the optimal. So from a portfolio management perspective, you're going to really want to play both of those fighters, okay? A two-line upset with each of them is so much better than a one-line upset with anybody, okay? Um, so that's something to remember when we do these analyses is we have not reached a point yet in the DFS landscape where portfolios are being built by these simulators and optimizers. Good lineups are being built, portfolios are not being built. So that is something to think about as you're building here. So you could actually do some hand building adjustments to account for that. And in a weird way, doing the old school style of, well, I want to be 100% of a certain fight, something like that, or 50% of each guy in a volatile fight, actually by accident is going to be probably better than just letting the Sims just kind of run your shit for you. Okay. Because the Sims honestly do not do a good job of portfolio management. Incredible good job of lineup construction, not a great job of portfolio management. And yes, there is a difference. Um, the other thing is that where point projections are not so difficult to do, and it's not quite as important to get those right. I mean, it is, but these ownership projections, remember, so much of what you're doing in these advanced lineup construction techniques is predicated on what ownership you put these fighters at, whether it be creating a lineup with this that conforms to a certain formula, like you want X amount of ownership points or X amount of points relative to ownership, things like that. Well, I mean, if you don't get to have the ownership right, then those formulas are flawed. Okay. And likewise, even if you are using those ownerships to predict what the field is going to do, in other words, you're making contest fields to compare your lineups to for the purposes of contest sims. Again, like unless your ownership projections are strong, you're just going to end up with very, very poor contest fields, meaning poor predictions of contest fields, which means that the algorithms and formulas being used to rate lineups against those fields they're doing their job, but they're not giving you really what you want. Okay. So I hate to, say stuff like, well, it doesn't matter what you play or this, that, and the other thing. It doesn't matter what you use. It really does. I mean, like the numbers that you put into these programs is very, very important. So I do like to, I want to double check some of this stuff because some of these numbers were kind of crazy. Like I was looking at, for example, you look at, SaberSim has a 105-point projection on Jose Delgado. Okay. Now, if you run anything with a 105-point projection, you're just going to get a ton. Okay. You just are. And the thing is that my projections and my take is I'm 11 points under. I have it more than 91. So this right off the bat is good. Is just listen. You can say all you want about doing min uniques 2, min uniques 3, sim this, that, and the other thing. But if you're 10 points wrong about a median projection, you're just going to get cooked. Okay. So, and there's another one. SaberSim, for example, has Jacqueline Cavalcante at 96 because she's going to win the fight like 90% of the time, but her ceiling is really, really low. And I think that her median projection is probably 10 points too high. So mine is going to be 10 points higher than that. So these adjustments, like it or not, are just going to change your outputs. Um, Now the ownership projections as well. I mean, we'll take a look at some discrepancies. I mean, I have Rodriguez at 57%. There are some places I've seen like they're predicting like 65. Okay, I can't imagine that, but I think 57, that's where I'm coming in. And Delgado got well, Saberson has him at 57 and I'm at 50. Okay, so you have to imagine why this is, right? So it's no surprise that if they are going to give Delgado a 102-point median projection, then he's just going to be huge chalk, right? So there's that. There's another one that's like a really big deal here. So they have Angela Hill at 84. I'll tell you right now, at 84 fantasy point median projection, I mean, they got him at the same projection as Gregory Rodriguez. You know what I mean? So you're going to end up getting, first of all, an incredible high ownership, which you'll see there, and you'll probably end up getting a ton. So you are going to have to make some adjustments based on what you think of this stuff, and I think that sort of helps. I don't think that this is a sport where you can just blindly trust one site without knowing a little bit about what's going on here. So like for me, for example, I have Angela Hill like full 10 points lower, despite the fact I really do like her in this fight, and a full 20 points lower in ownership. I have her at 33%, which I think is just more reasonable. And the thing is that when you run your sims, for example, or you run any of your methods, which ownerships and which contest fields you use are going to make all the difference. So you have to really know what you're trying to accomplish here and what you're doing. So, like for example, let's take a look at some of these fields. So let's take a look at what would happen if I used different contest fields and then ran the sim. So right now, let's go back and run the sims against the regular flagship MME. Okay. Now, before we did that, all right, let's take a look and see what the flagship MME represents. Okay, let's see what this looks like. So if we ran it against flagship MME, now we have this one with Angela Hill at 54%, 58% Delgado. So if we run it with the SaberSim ownerships and the SaberSim projected lineups, okay, let's see what we would get. Run contest sims. Okay. So contest sim, let's just use the throwdown ROI. And let's take a look and see what our exposure would be if we use the straight up. Now this is actually extremely interesting. So you would have thought, on the one hand, that boy, you get all kinds of Angela Hill, right? Because you have such a huge projection, but it cuts both ways. Because Angela Hill was projected at 57% ownership, you're now only getting 11%, right? So we'll take a little snapshot of this. So here we'd be getting over, around 50% of Rodriguez, Delgado, and Vieira. Okay, now it's just rated by ROI, and we're using the SaberSim contest fields. Now instead of that, let's compare that. Should I write this down? Take a picture of this, I guess. We'll remember this, right? I'm just gonna actually literally write it, otherwise. So it'll be G-Rod, Delgado, and Vieira, all over 50, all 50% or higher. Okay? So now instead of that, instead of running it against those fields, let's run it against, go to field lineups. Let's run it against one of the others. So let's first run it against this UFC link. So what this is is I used my ownerships and created my own field based on those ownerships. And let's take a look what this looks like. So this one looks a little different, right? This one's got 37% Angela Hill, 53% Rodriguez. It's just a little different. So let's see when we use that field for the same tournament, how that sim plays out. So let's do it again. And again, let's do ROI, contest sim, throwdown ROI. And let's see the difference here. So here it's a little different. So you're still getting a good amount of the top guys. So 70% Delgado, okay? And even, remember, Delgado, I even lowered his projection by 10 points. Delgado 70, then Rodriguez. But you see conspicuously absent from the top group is Rodolfo Vieira. Rodolfo Vieira in this construct has 12% ownership. Okay. And then who moves up is 51% to Angela Hill. So again, you think, whoa, how come Angela Hill, you have such a worse projection for her? Why are you getting more of her using your contest fields? Well, because I also have her much lower owned. Okay. And then you have Ismail Bonfim more towards the top 50%, right? So just changing your contest fields is going to really change what you end up getting here. Let's also take a look at something called build one. Okay, so build one was my own pool based on my own projections, and that looks like this. So that looks like 47% Rodriguez, 46%, and I have to tell you, this actually looks like probably the closest to a good contest field, you know? Because first of all, it also has like more Vince Morales, which I think makes sense. The only thing here is this Angela Hill 39. I still think this is too high, but nonetheless, I think that this is actually the best of all of them. So let's run the throwdown against not field liners, against build one. Okay? Against build one. So what we're going to be doing now is basically simming our 5,000 against those same 5,000. And we'll see what that looks like. All right, let's see ROI, contest sims. Again, we're just looking at the throwdown. Throwdown. Let's see what this looks like. So when we do this, once again, Delgado 68%, Rodriguez more now 70, Bonfim up there 68, and we're still getting a bunch of Angela Hill. Okay. So I do this to illustrate a point. You are going to have to make these decisions on your own as far as what contest field to use. I will say this, that if you don't, know, I would probably not even. It's about to say I wouldn't even rely on the. There's nothing you can really do, either rely on it or just not even use them at all. But I'm trying to think of whether I'd recommend you use your own fields before using just one site's. Again, I don't want to recommend one particular site, really, so I can't really do that. But if you feel comfortable with a site, I would still continue to recommend you use that instead of trying to replace it with your own. Now, again, all this dispensed with the usual dilemmas about contest fields. That being, Number one, it doesn't create a lot of dupes, if any, which exist in real life. Number two, it does not create bad lineups. If you're using your own, for example, if you're building your 5,000 best lineups or whatever, you're probably not going to get many bad lineups, really. But then again, maybe if you build 5,000, you will get bad lineups. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Like you're supposed to build like more lineups that there are entries if you can. But I think there are going to be plenty of entries, so I don't think that's going to work in this spot. Okay. Next thing I want to do is get into these spreadsheets again and look at some of these different metrics that we look at. Before we do it, we have to figure out what we're dealing with here. So let's presume for now that my ownerships are best, my projections were best, my contest fields were best. So what I want to do now is look at who we would get with different metrics. So instead of using the Sims, let's look at our old friend. Let's look at some of our old friends. So Sim Diversity 10. This is again Saber Sim's most conservative, I believe, of the attempts to create high upside lineups. And again, we get into the nuts and bolts of this in the formulas, and they do ding lineups 0.2 times average adjusted ownership. But you see already, like your ownerships better be good if you're going to rely on any of these things. But this is the most conservative of them all. So when we look at that, what we would end up getting are even more Delgado, right? 79%, 68% Rodriguez, Angela Hill, Bonfim. So not too much different. But when we start to get into the more aggressive ones, let's see if those change. So let's look at MMA default. And MMA default, first of all, let's see what we get, and then we'll remind us what that is. So this is actually pretty interesting. Like, no matter what we do, we're still getting a ton of these top plays. Delgado, Hill, Bonfim, 35% Morales. But when we go into MMA default, which is really a big-time ownership fade and ceiling metric, now you're getting women like fighters like Cavalcante, who in the real world looks like a terrible play. But as I mentioned earlier in the week, I mean, when you get into this world of whatchamacallit, of Sims and ownership fades and things like that, you're going to end up with a bunch of her. And that's what you get, So this is the one notable that kind of stands out as a big upgrade. Use MMA default. Now, when you get even more aggressive and you go to Sheets default, and again, this is my own custom metric that I made, which not only creates a 99th percentile outcome, but also dings for ownership. Then we probably really get nasty. Let's see. Yeah, now we get almost all of the Jacqueline Cavalcante with because he does have a big ceiling. He just doesn't get it too often. And then again, Angela Hill, Delgado, more Cannoneer in this variation. And almost no, look at this one. So this is an interesting result. And almost no Gregory Rodriguez. So whenever you're going to take an ownership fade type of approach, you're going to get very little of the Gregory Rodriguez. The next thing I want to do is I want to look at the dupes and just see what this looks like. So what we do for this is let's right now this is rated right now by Sheets default, but let's rate it now by let's go back to the throwdown. And let's download like this whole pool, okay? Scotty Scheffler just made an incredible chip that'll probably get him a par when he had no business getting a par. Okay, so what this is the full Monty, right? This is the full spreadsheet of all the lineups rated in every which way from Sunday. And let's find again this throwdown. That's the knockout. Where's the throwdown? Here's the throwdown. So right now, these are being rated by ROI. And what's interesting to see is the lack of dupes. Let's just take a look at something. Let's, yeah, so this can't be right. Okay. This just can't be right when you have only one dupe in all these. So that's a problem. Um, let me try one more thing. Let me. It's possible that it doesn't create the sim dupe unless I don't know. Let's try one more time. Make sure this is all running. Well, that one's not running. That's fine. We're running against build one. Let's see. Yeah, for some reason, yeah. So this is again every Saber sim can be fishy sometimes, but I do want to try one other thing. I want to try just for fun to run this against the regular flagship MME because sometimes I just have this weird feeling that that's causing this in the main spreadsheet. Let's take a look because there's no way that those lineups are not going to be doomed. Just no way. All right, so let's again uh, download all these lineups and see if that makes a difference. Oh, here we go. So this is really interesting. So it doesn't predict dupes unless you use their contest fields. Well, that's not particularly helpful. Um, See what we did there? It's an interesting Saber sim thing. So when you run, and I'll reach out to them. When you run your lineup against your own build, which is what we tried, right? Then it will show the sim dupes. Otherwise, it will not. Excuse me, it will not show the sim dupes. This time it does. So what you're going to want to do, if you do use their contest fields, I mean, you're going to want to go in here. And this is like kind of a tough thing because you would think that the dupes would be factored into the ROI, but there's just no way that 65, 61, 27, or whatever is going to work. So you're going to probably want to carve out, if you use their contest fields, you're going to want to carve this out. But let me try one more time. Let me try to do this once more time. Let's, instead of using flagship MME, how about we use this one? How about the field lineups, the UFC link? Maybe that's the one. Maybe that will work. Because instead of running against actual builds, you're going to run against my actual ownership projections. So let's see if that works. Love to hit one ball in my life like Colin Marco. All right, so this is done already? All right, so now let's I think we did this right. So now we'll download this again. We'll download cool. I'm gonna predict that this works for some reason. Let's see. It did. So this is really interesting. So it works against your field lineups and it works against it works against your custom field lineups and it works against the sim dupes, the Saber sim contest fields, but not against um, just your regular bills. So what I would do, since I like my ownership, is I would use these. And then this is the kind of a cool value judgment I make here. Well, first of all, hold on. This is being sorted by, I don't know how this is being sorted actually. So let's first, what I would like to do is go data, filter, and then I want to sort this first by ROI. See what this looks like. So yeah, so this looks good, meaning that these lineups that are, you know, showing up as top ROIs are not predicted to be that highly duped. So I could probably go with this group here and be kind of happy with it. Or I could get greedy and just chop out, you know, all of the ones that are over 5, okay, for example. And yeah, that certainly makes some sense. The other thing that you can do to figure out or try to calculate what how many dupes your lineups might end up having is you could use the Pater model, the Pater portfolio manager, to attempt to predict it actually. Now we're going to have to trick it a little bit. And I'm going to show you, I think, the way to do that. Okay. So let me take a second and pull that up. Uh, Pater. Okay. Okay. All right, so what you have to do to get this to work is you have to upload a portfolio file and a projections file. The projections file is sort of easy. Actually, they're both sort of easy. They just have to conform to a template. We're gonna hold on to this for a second. Okay, this is just my pool of 5,000, for example. I want to save this. We're gonna get back to this in a second. So we're gonna save this as we'll call it a Pater test. Pater MMA, nice capitals, test. We're going to get back to this thing in a second. But first, I want to test my own lineups against what I already put in. Okay. Well, let's actually let's put something in first. Where is Saberson? This is. Let me get back to my MMA stuff. Where was I? So I was over here, and then I was about to put all these in. So just for the hell of it, okay, if I just put in all these just according to, you know, to ROI, whatever, let's just put those in. And I want to test these lineups. Well, I was going to say I want to test these lineups against what Pater would predict. Well, maybe I should compare apples to apples, right? Maybe I should, yeah. So let's do that. This is what we're going to do, just for fun. Let's go to Pater MA test, and we're going to put in like these top lineups here, sorted by ROI. So we sort this by ROI. This is what we're projecting based on on whatchamacallit, on SaberSim's assessment. Okay. So let's put these in first. Let's put in these 150. So we're gonna compare apples to oranges, excuse me, apples to apples, with respect to how we're predicting the dupes. So let's put these in first. MMAs. And we'll put these all in, and then we'll save these, and then we will enter them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to download them again. Sorry. So let's download them again. Because I need to put these into the portfolio manager I just described. So the way you have to do that, you have to get rid of these extra files. I mean, columns. We're good. So we'll save this. And then what we'll do is we'll enter that into the portfolio file. That is here. And then what we have to do is we have to put in our projections. So let me pull those up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put those in. So we got to put in player name, salary, median. We're going to use mine. Then my ownership. Save this. We're going to remember this though, because we're going to see what we have to do in a minute. So we got to put in the projections template. And then what we're going to do is now we're going to go to manage portfolio. And then what we're going to do is we're going to download this and see what the projected dupes look like according to Painter. And already you can see, you know, that according to Painter's formula, which I absolutely respect, SaberSim's analysis is really on some kind of crack, you know, this turn of phrase. They just are not doing the greatest job with predicting dupes. So, I mean, I would probably just chop off like so many of these lineups. Okay. Um, Now, another thing, again, I'm going to test this. I'm going to do the same thing with running it versus the. I'm going to again try to compare apples to apples. I'm going to do that build again where I run. Um, where I run the sim against the actual um, flagship MME. Let's just make sure we're doing it the right way. Again, we're going to do the same analysis. We're going to compare apples to apples. Come on, get through here. Let's go. UFC link. It's flagship. Okay. So let's build this again. I should have probably saved it, but whatever. So now what we're going to do is we're going to again take the top 150 ROI lineups. We're going to see what they should look like according to SaberSim's dupe predictor, and then we'll compare that to what Pater is laying on us. So let's just download the whole pool, okay? And we'll go data, filter. Let's go to all the way over to here. And this does have, some high level, ROIs. Let's see this. So here we're going to sort these by top ROIs, and you'll see that SaberSim is predicting very, very little dupes here. So let's just see if that actually conforms to SaberSim's, to Pater. So let's first put these 151 or 150 in there. It's possible that, listen, it's possible Saberson's right, but I doubt it. So let's upload these to, put these in here and we're going to download them again because what we have to do, I should have remembered that before I uploaded them. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take those 150 and run those into the Pater portfolio manager. And again, the way we do that is go into portfolio. We'll do, well, no, not portfolio. We have to go, where was it? We'll go here back into data load. Wait, where was the, let's get rid of that. Where was the data entry again? Sorry about this. Just lost it. Oh, okay, we just have to do this and then just chop off those extra columns. Okay, and we'll put these in. The new and then we'll take a look at these and we'll see what this looks like down my portfolio. And again, same idea here. You know, although it's actually a lot, I'd say closer. I mean, let's take a look again. Let's sort these. Well, we don't, for some reason these are duped. I mean, these actual lineups are duped. So let's again, we'll sort these by, we'll filter these by, well, let's filter them by dupes, for example. You have, I guess, only 100, 150, only like 17 of those rates at be like over 10, right? As opposed to, oh, this was this guy. But here we have one, two, I mean, very few of the top 150 were rated over 10. So once again, it seems that Sabersim is really, really underestimating the amount of dupes that these lineups are, or maybe Pater is overestimating it, but we can find that out and we could test that. So that's another thing I'm going to do this week. I'm going to run all of my builds against the Sabersim, excuse me, against the Pater portfolio manager. And there were other things I could have done with the portfolio manager, obviously, but for now I was just using it as kind of a double check as far as the dupes go. And again, what I could have done, all right, let's see, well, where's the portfolio manager? So we'll download this portfolio, and what I can do is, again, I could save whichever ones of these that I want. Let's do this. Let's go data, filter, and let's get rid of these guys here. And let's just get rid of well, let's first look at make sure they have decent win percentages. And then we just got to get rid of these top dude lineups. We just have to. So we'll just do everything that's from the top win percentage, I guess. That's less than 10. So we could do this. Boom. So we're starting with and especially when you get down here, these guys, I mean, now you're duping for no reason, right? You're duping without even a big a big win percentage. So you could do this. You could do this another way, right? So you could. I want to keep this because it's really one of the top lineups, even though it's 7. I was going to just reduce everything to 7. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that. Let's go. We have to do. Can't have anything more than 7. Oh, we don't have that many anyway. And we'll go back into finishing percentage. And we could just save these here. So these are 132 lineups that are decent. Okay. So let's save this. We're going to save this again as save as recent Club MMA. And this one we'll do, I don't know, call this pay dirt screened. Pay dirt screen. And again, all this is going to be based on our projections being good, our ownerships being good, and all of that. Okay. So now we have 133 of those. Now we did show that we had a couple of good ones, right, in the other one. So where was that file? Let's go back to that. Did I keep it in here? Yeah, the pay dirt MMA test. So I need, what, another 17 lineups? So let's go back to this and make sure that we're playing with no dupes. Let's first do, yeah, so we're sorted by ROI. I guess these are all okay. So we need, what, another 36 or something? Is that what we said? Let's see. We need another only 17. Now we might end up getting duplicate lineups, and we'll be able to see that in a minute. So it'll be these. We'll save these as pay dirt screen. Then we'll just take these. 150. I'm missing one. That's all right. I'll keep one from before. All right. So now we'll put those lineups into the lineup constructor here. And we'll do this. Save again, because I don't think I clicked it right. Put these in. Now we didn't build our big lineups, our big buy-in lineups. I still might end up doing those by hand. I'm not sure. But the first thing I want to do before I do anything is I do want to go, and I don't want to check exposure. Just want to check to see if there's anything duped here. Yeah, so there are a couple of lineups that are duped. So I can hand fix those or whatever. Let's just make sure that maybe they're in this different contest. Yeah, so this is in a different contest. I don't have to worry about that one. I'm gonna change my big buy-in ones anyway, so that's not a big deal. This one's duped. That one's duped. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 lineups are duped. So I could just, just manually change something. But the one thing I do want to do before I forget, right, let me at least put in my big lineups. Okay, let me start by simming something. Where was it? So the first thing I want to do, let's go back into contests. Just so it remembers what I have, I want to upload my existing lineups. Good. Yes. And then I want to go back and resim this using, again, I want to use I want to just get something in my big buy in here. Let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of this one. Actually, let's keep these two. Let's use my ownerships. So field UFC link, field UFC link. Make sure this works. Click, click, click. I'm sorry. This again. This is going to be. This was either just incredibly boring and a train wreck, or maybe somebody enjoyed watching some of this. I don't know. So let's go. Let's go back into build one and let's just sim against against uh against these guys. Okay. And we're just going to put these into those two contests. And then we're going to do one more screen with Pater, and then we're going to be done. So you see it's two out of three because I didn't run it against the throwdown. Okay. So let's put these into the let's see, save these to the knockout and the queue. Should say only two was created, 4 lineups to 2 contests. 4 lineups to 2 contests. Oh, because I have 3 in there. Okay. So let's download this entry file now. Yes. And then I'm just going to do one more just spot check. One more spot check as far as predicted dupes. So again, same thing. We'll go and we will. Now, the other thing you'll note that I didn't do is I never checked the end results to see who I had. But again, we have a pretty good idea who we have, right? I mean, you know, where is my portfolio manager? I can never seem to find it when I need it. No. Discord, no. Where is it easy to just find this thing? I just can't. Did it just disappear on me? I literally just backgammon stuff. Yeah, I don't know. So let's find it. Okay, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up now. I'm gonna relaunch it. One sec. Just want to do one more check. Then we'll be good. Well, tools, portfolio manager. I gotta redo this. All right, so let's put the portfolio file in again. And then all of this depends on you being right as far as your lineup construction goes. I mean your ownership projections. So let's browse files again for the projection template, right? Okay. And then let's go to manage portfolio. Let's download the portfolio. Let's open the portfolio. Not looking to see who we have. We don't want to cheat. And I do actually have like a whole bunch of these highly projected, highly duped lineups. So I probably want to get these out of there. So how did I mess that up? Probably the big buy-ins are some of it, actually. Yeah, I imagine so. Let me fix that. Yeah. Hang on, let me fix that. One second. I bet you those bottom ones are partially to blame. Okay, so we will save that again. We will go back to data load, put this up here again. I'm going to bet that 4 of those are now gone. Manage portfolio, and then download portfolio. We don't care who we have. No, they're still lurking about. So I'm going to have to get back in and deal with these lineups. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just dump these. And the way I'm going to do that, it's just these top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these bottom ones and just replace them so I know that I don't want them. So let's put these five where these five were. No, actually, how many are there? There are 9 lineups that I don't want. So what we're going to do, we're going to sort this way. So these are obviously high win percentage, but whatever. So we're going to take the top win percentage that are not highly duped, and we're going to use those as the dupes for now. 11 ones, 10. Okay, and let's get rid of these. Put these bad boys back into the entry file. Oops. Hang on. Get these duped guys out of here. Here. Find this again. Place them. Save. Upload. Let's see any dupes here. So I should probably have like 10 dupes, right? Yep. These are the ones that I just have to manually kind of change. You see, ooh, some of them leaving money on the table. It's all good. Let's just see. So this one's a dupe in the throwdown. This one's a dupe in the throwdown. This one's a dupe in the throwdown. What I'll probably do is about to say I'm gonna check to see who I have, and then I'll do whatever. No, we're not gonna do that. But here's one little trick that you can do is when you make that hand build trick when you have a chalky um uh underdog, what you can do is pivot to the favorite and leave that money on the table. So like let's take a look here. So let's see what this Angela Hill lineup looks like. So this one's 82. That's not going to work. So Vincent Morales is a very popular underdog. You can't get all the way up to the favorite, but you could maybe just move him up to somebody like Dontel Mays. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be much lower owns. I mean, I think that's going to be. I think that's a pretty sharp thing you could do. So you could go through, all your dupes and make like kind of, healthy changes like that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, these are the things and the processes I kind of roll through each week. And I do promise you, I'm not going to look to see what I have. That's definitely not going to happen. But hopefully that at least sparked some thought. And that's it.